Imagine you're sitting in an old Jeep, CJ7, crawling up rocky slopes in the Utah desert. The engine doesn't roar, doesn't shudder. It hums steadily, confidently, like an old workhorse that never quits. It's not a muscle car V8, nor a modern turbo. It's an AMC 258 Inline-6, a 4.2-liter engine with just over 100 horsepower, yet capable of defying time. Born during AMC's fight for survival, the 258 wasn't just a power plant, it was a lifeline. It carried the company through oil crises, EPA regulations, and paved the way for some of Jeep's most legendary off-roaders. Durable, torque-rich at low RPMs, easy to fix, and incredibly dependable, the AMC 258 became the engine of choice for millions of Americans, from war veterans to today's off-road enthusiasts. So what made such a humble engine survive nearly 2 decades and remain beloved to this day? Let's find out. By the late 1960s, American Motors Corporation, or AMC, found itself in an incredibly precarious position. It wasn't large enough to compete head-on with industry giants like GM or Ford, nor did it hold a clear niche like the European sports car brands. While the Big Three were pumping out V8-powered muscle cars, AMC stood at a crossroads. Either follow the costly trend or forge a new path with compact, efficient, and durable vehicles. In 1970, AMC acquired Kaiser Jeep, officially taking over the Jeep brand and its loyal customer base. This created a major opportunity, but also a new challenge: how to create an engine platform that could serve both passenger cars and off-road vehicles, all while meeting increasingly strict EPA emissions standards. At the same time, V8 engines were beginning to fall out of favor due to rising fuel consumption concerns. Gas prices were climbing, spurred by global political tensions. AMC realized it needed a power plant that was fuel-efficient, mass-producible, dependable, and capable of surviving in harsh environments, from urban streets to rural backroads. Building upon the foundation of the AMC 232 engine introduced in 1964, AMC engineers began developing a larger variant. In 1971, the AMC 258 was born. The overall architecture stayed true to AMC's philosophy of simple, rugged, and serviceable design. But subtle upgrades made the 258 one of the most reliable and effective inline-6 engines of the 1970s. First, the displacement. With a bore of 3.75 inches and a stroke of 3.895 inches, the total displacement reached 258 cubic inches. This long-stroke configuration allowed the engine to deliver strong torque at low RPMs, perfect for light trucks, wagons, and off-road vehicles. The overhead valve layout featured 2 valves per cylinder and 7 main bearings for exceptional durability. The single camshaft was gear-driven, minimizing wear over time. The ignition system used conventional breaker points, simple to adjust by hand. Power output for early versions ranged from 110 to 120 horsepower, but the real strength was in torque. With 210 to 235 pound-feet of torque available at low revs, the 258 provided strong takeoff without needing to rev high. The engine weighed between 525 and 550 pounds with a cast-iron block and cylinder head. Carburation was handled by a single-barrel Carter BBD or motorcraft carb, easy to maintain and widely supported at the time. From the moment it was introduced, the AMC 258 engine was quickly adopted across most of the company's mid-size and full-size vehicles. Throughout the 1970s, it powered models like the AMC Hornet, Gremlin, Concorde, and Spirit. These cars weren't built for speed, but they gained a reputation for durability, low maintenance costs, and solid load handling performance in both city traffic and highway cruising. However, where the AMC 258 truly shined was under the Jeep brand. This engine became the default choice for models like the Jeep CJ5, CJ7, Scrambler, and later, the Wagoneer. Thanks to its strong low-end torque, the 258 was especially well-suited for climbing hills, crossing streams, hauling gear, and towing trailers. While its horsepower wasn't high, the real-world driving feel was responsive and strong, particularly in versions with 3- or 4-speed manual transmissions. Notably, the AMC 258 was also the heart of the AMC Eagle, America's first true crossover SUV with full-time four-wheel drive, introduced in 1980. The engine gave the Eagle the ability to stay fuel-efficient on the highway, while still having enough muscle to handle snow, mud, and backcountry trails. Unlike many engines designed for only one type of vehicle, the AMC 258 was incredibly versatile. It could power passenger cars, off-road vehicles, and even four-wheel drive wagons. This adaptability allowed AMC to remain competitive in the market far longer than many of its rivals had anticipated. Entering the 1980s, the American auto industry faced immense pressure from EPA emissions regulations, fuel economy demands, and rising competition from Japanese imports. AMC had to upgrade the 258 engine to meet modern expectations while retaining its core reliability. One of the first changes was to the ignition system. AMC moved from traditional contact points to the electronic DuraSpark 2 system, which provided more stable spark timing, reduced wear, and required less manual adjustment. This marked a noticeable improvement in cold starts and long-term durability. Next came the Carter BBD 2-barrel carburetor with an integrated electronic feedback system. It used an oxygen sensor and a basic ECU to adjust the air-fuel mixture for emissions control. However, this setup introduced the infamous idle glitch, where the engine struggled to maintain a steady idle, especially when cold. Additional tweaks included a slightly higher compression ratio, revised camshaft profiles, ignition timing adjustments, and improved intake airflow. These were all aimed at emissions compliance and fuel efficiency, but also made maintenance more complex. In terms of applications, the AMC 258 continued to serve in Jeep CJ7s, Scramblers, and Wagoneers. It was also found in the AMC Eagle with full-time four-wheel drive. However, post-1981 versions were often criticized by users as feeling less smooth due to sensor glitches and the difficulty of making repairs without proper diagnostic tools. And when Chrysler acquired AMC in 1987, the situation became even more nuanced. On one hand, Chrysler didn't immediately discontinue the AMC 258, but continued using it in Jeep Wrangler YJ models through 1990. On the other hand, they began introducing deeper electronic integration into the engine's core. The most significant change was the addition of throttle body injection, or TBI. Instead of using a mechanical carburetor, fuel was now injected electronically into the throttle body. Although not as advanced as multi-port EFI, TBI represented a clear improvement in efficiency and emissions control. Chrysler also upgraded the ECU, enabling better control of ignition timing, air-fuel mixture, oxygen sensors, and adaptation to environmental conditions like temperature and altitude. This made the engine run smoother and respond better across varied driving conditions. However, the added sensors, such as TPS, MAP, and CTS, made DIY repairs more complicated. Mechanically, the AMC 258 remained unchanged, with its cast-iron block, OHV camshaft, and classic cylinder head. But with TBI and ECU support, it became a semi-modern power plant, blending traditional strength with emerging electronics. For many Jeep enthusiasts, this was a fascinating transitional phase. The Jeep Wrangler YJ, equipped with the 258 TBI engine, was seen as a bridge between two eras, simple enough to work on, yet modern enough to remain relevant. But to fully understand the AMC 258's value, we need to compare it to its key competitors of the time. One of the most talked about was the Ford 300 Inline-6. It was praised for being indestructible, with a larger displacement, thick block, and massive torque. But the Ford 300 was also heavy and long, making it ill-suited for compact engine bays like those in CJ Jeeps or Wranglers. It was better suited for trucks than off-roaders. The Chevrolet 250 offered the opposite experience. It was compact, light, and ran incredibly smooth at higher RPMs. However, it lacked the low-end torque of the 258, which was essential for climbing hills or hauling loads. In terms of durability, many still gave the edge to the 258 for its rugged design and lower tendency to overheat. As for Toyota's 2F engine in the Land Cruiser, durable and modern, yes, but also complex, thirsty, and hard to service in the US during that era. For those who valued simple mechanics, the 258 remained the more livable choice. The AMC 258 didn't dominate in any single category, but it struck a just right balance in torque, reliability, operating cost, and versatility. While the AMC 258 was known for its durability and simplicity, it could not escape the inevitable march of progress. By the late 1980s, tightening EPA emissions standards and the rise of multi-port electronic fuel injection systems began rendering throttle body-injected engines like the 258 obsolete. In 1987, AMC, under Chrysler, officially introduced the 4.0 Inline-6 engine, which was essentially a major redesign built upon the 258's foundation. Though it had slightly less displacement, the 4.0-liter featured a completely new cylinder head, improved airflow, and a more aggressive camshaft. Most importantly, it utilized a true multi-port EFI system, offering far more precise fuel control than TBI. The result was a significant performance jump, with high-output versions delivering up to 173 horsepower, all while retaining the AMC engine's legendary toughness. With greater power, reduced emissions, and smoother operation, the 4.0-liter quickly became the preferred engine across the Jeep lineup. Between 1987 and 1990, both the 258 and 4.0-liter were produced side by side, but it was clear that the 258 had become a transitional solution. After 1990, the AMC 258 engine was officially discontinued, ending nearly 20 years of service across countless vehicles from the Jeep CJ to the AMC Eagle. But in the eyes of vintage Jeep enthusiasts and off-road communities in the US, the 258 never truly went away. On the contrary, it's celebrated as a pure mechanical icon, where reliability comes not from microchips, but from cast iron and clever design. The first reason the AMC 258 remains beloved is its durability. With a thick iron block, simple OHV camshaft, large main bearings, and very few failure points, this engine can run for hundreds of thousands of miles with only basic maintenance. Old CJ7s, still roaming the roads today, often owe their longevity to that rugged foundation. Second, the 258 is an ideal platform for performance upgrades. Many builders pair the 258 block with a 4.0-liter head to create the powerful stroker 4.6. This hybrid combines the 258's long stroke and tough bottom end with the 4.0-liter's modern EFI for strong torque and proven reliability. On Jeep forums around the world, the AMC 258 continues to be a favorite topic. Parts are easy to find, documentation is plentiful, and community support makes restoring or upgrading a 258 very achievable. Today, as many automakers return to the idea of simple, serviceable vehicles, the question of reviving classic engines like the AMC 258 has resurfaced. Could a naturally aspirated inline-6, free of complex sensors, still have a place in the age of hybrids and EVs? Technically, the answer is yes, with some updates. The core design of the AMC 258 remains sound: a long stroke, strong low-end torque, rugged construction, and ease of manufacturing. If re-engineered with lighter materials, modern EFI, and tuned for today's emissions standards, a Gen 2 AMC 258 could thrive in the off-road or light truck market. In fact, many custom shops in the US have already built stroker versions like the 4.5 or 4.6-liter based on the AMC platform. These use a 4.0-liter head, modern EFI, upgraded camshafts, and lightweight pistons. The result is performance on par with small V8s, while retaining the durability and signature growl of the 258 family. Still, an official revival remains unlikely. Internal combustion engines are becoming more expensive to produce, while the market shifts toward electrification. But that hasn't stopped AMC fans from keeping the 258 alive. Not in factories, but in the hearts of trail-tested Jeeps still breathing steadily like they did half a century ago. The AMC 258 was never the fastest, the strongest, or the most advanced engine. But it was one of the most honest and durable machines American engineering ever produced. It didn't need numbers to prove its worth. Just turn the key, hear it hum, and know it would get you home, no matter what lay ahead. For nearly 2 decades, the AMC 258 powered everything from sedans to wagons, from Jeep CJs to Eagles, from city streets to backwoods trails. And even today, it continues to live. Not on assembly lines, but in thousands of Jeeps, kept alive, rebuilt, and cherished as mechanical heritage. If you've ever driven a vehicle powered by the AMC 258, or you own a stroker built from its block, we'd love to hear your story in the comments below. And if you love machines that carry the soul of old-school engineering, be sure to subscribe so you never miss the next story.